He's also been called a forceful liberal voice and an occasional lightning rod, and I know he would dispute the occasional part of that description. He's also one of our state's most eloquent speakers, as you will soon hear. Please welcome Professor Gene Nichol.
If not the most generous, the longest introduction I've ever heard. I am grateful for it. My reaction to that every time, though it's usually not put nearly so well, is that this just sounds like a guy who has a hell of a hard time hanging on to a job. And if you study my career in more detail, you would come to that very conclusion. I am honored in a very powerful way to be here, to sit with this remarkable crowd in a week in which we have been shown in the most brutal and demoralizing way by abusing both our brothers and sisters and our Constitution at the same time of the crucial need for defenders of justice. Now, it occurs to me that this banquet has been scheduled for a very long time, and Bill and Melinda are very smart, so they knew it was coming up just a couple days after the election, so I assumed that this was meant to be something of a victory lap. It didn't exactly work out that way. That happens sometimes. I was thinking about this. I go and give a speech over at Duke University once a year, whether I need to or not, sort of out of a sense of good camaraderie. And this year, when I was asked to do that, I said I would be delighted, but I could only come in one particular day. That would be the morning after the Duke-Carolina basketball game at the Dean Dome. I thought this was going to be a victory lap as well. Turned out not to be the case. I will say that when I came into the building in the law school, I don't know if it ever happens to you, I had that thing where you throw up just a little bit in your throat. Well, I want you to know I'm not throwing up tonight, but I threw up full bore on Tuesday night. We recognize a terrific slate of justice defenders as part of this program. They are remarkable folks. In fact, I've been coming to these banquets for many years, and I can say without hesitation that I have more admiration and affection for these 5 honorees than any group the Justice Center has ever lifted up. Deborah Ross and Larry Hall are great, true, effective, and inspiring allies in the State House. Disability Rights, with whom I've been honored to work and from whom I have been honored to learn much. Mary Lee Hall, who presses so successfully our toughest challenges in our most threatened and marginalized venues. Reuben Blackwell, my running buddy. I have discovered in the last year what so many in this room already knew. If you have something crucial that's hard to pull off, but it has to be done, you're dead without it, ask Reuben to take it over. It'll be golden. So, I mean this. This group is high cotton. But to tell you the truth, I would be here tonight, pitching in, handing out name tags, serving hors d'oeuvres, making a sponsoring gift, stacking chairs, parking cars, trying to ensure that Melinda Lawrence behaves herself, which is always tough duty. I'd be doing all these things even if we didn't have any award winners at all, because much as I admire these all-stars, I admire the North Carolina Justice Center even more. Progressive advocacy and research organization, taken as its mission, and I quote, ending poverty by ensuring that every household has access to the resources, services, and fair treatment it needs to achieve economic security. That doesn't sound nearly as important or as cool as it actually is. Daniel Webster would put it instead, doing the great work of human beings on this earth, achieving justice. That sounds sweeter, more true, In fact, the Justice Center has a way of lowballing or underselling both its challenge and its astonishing success. They are modest folk. That's unusual, because lots of them are lawyers. But how can I put this? If I had accomplished just 1% of what the Justice Center pulls off every month, I guarantee you that not a person on the Eastern Seaboard wouldn't know about it, chapter and verse. I'm a little like Mark Twain. I was born modest, but it wore off. Without the Justice Center, we would be a very different state, a much diminished state, a state that more often turns its back on the foundational challenges of justice, a state more inclined to throw its most distressed members under the bus in a flurry of selfishness and superiority, a state that rejects the essential demands of racial inclusion. Without the Justice Center, in other words, North Carolina would be South Carolina. And after the last legislative session, you have to worry that we are slouching towards Charleston. And when some legislative fool from Onslow County declares in an open committee hearing that there are no people living in deep poverty in North Carolina, somehow missing 10% of the children in his own district, the Justice Center assures that our public officials can't just make up their own facts, their own realities, their own planets, and declare hundreds and thousands of our sisters and brothers to be non-existent, editing them out of our family portrait that disappeared. Then the Justice Center rises to assure that our national mission actually means something, and it's not to be cast aside in a fusillade of greed and arrogance and stupidity. And when the John Locke boys deploy their meager empirical skills to prove yet again that the only thing wrong with North Carolina is that those at the bottom have too much and those at the top don't have enough, then the Justice Center reminds that math is math, and statistics are statistics, and data is data, and law is law. And just because an outfit is the puppet and servant and lapdog of economic royalists doesn't make it right. Yes. So like Atticus Finch, the Justice Center does our toughest jobs, our hardest work. They do it only with private money. You know, scarce, tough to find, private dollars. So when they write to you, or email you, or call you, and ask you for your good help, even if they do that this very night, for God's sake, do your duty. Do your duty. Enroll in the cause. It wouldn't surprise me if Dr. King and Cesar Chavez and Fannie Lou Hamer and Woody Guthrie and Bobby Kennedy and Barbara Jordan and Frank Graham and Paul Wellstone weren't looking down on us, seeing what we're made of. So once again, do your duty. And remember that amidst all this celebration, why we're actually here, to help the Justice Center make North Carolina the kind of place it longs to be. Thank you very much.